I'm Holly Aubichon. I'm born and raised in Regina. My practice is mainly in painting. Painting for me is something that, I don't know, I really enjoy being able to stop and look at a single image and find all the things that you can read from it. In terms of my themes in general, it's often relating to looking back at my experiences or observations of growing up, and specifically with my identity as a Métis woman. It's a heavy influence in my work and about my life, which is learning and understanding my ancestral history and then depicting it in an urban setting with my contemporary life. In my initial sketches, there's a heating pad like in every sketch because that was the significant attachment to more like physical representation of death or like of longing for something. If this was a piece that was able to be shown in a physical space, I would love to see a heating pad plugged in and like operating that way. So almost as like a double piece is what I would like ideally want to present it as, because that heating pad is important, but it was removed because it's no longer like the same feeling I once had. This was probably like the biggest part of my own growth, which was that this role of the matriarch is like a guiding figure for a family, but it's who like takes on the most responsibilities, who do people vent to, who do people look for guidance, like who's the person who's taking on those things. And so I had those responsibilities and my family members look at me that way, but it was always like, oh, like what a burden, like this isn't any of my business or whatever. But then when I realized that I lost my version of that, all of these lines connected where I was like, wow, like I'm a person who is a powerful figure in my family. For me, when I experienced this loss, it was like I was fully vulnerable, so I no longer had the safe space to like turn to because that's what this person was to me. So then it's like now everything's out and I have to figure that out. Thinking about life and death and things like that all spiraled into this painting. Like it's heavily like focused on grieving, but it's not a complete like confirmation of or like understanding of death. And that's why there's that divide between spaces, because I'm not certain on where anything is. My hopes that a viewer would feel that they understand that there's some sort of loss or some sort of longing. I think like with the divided spaces that I created is the important. The like cool rich red colors and like the window that's there, it's there but it's subtle. I hope that people do consider or think about with loss that empty space afterwards, like what actually happens. It's, you know, the big question that nobody knows. So I hope that it will cycle people into that thought, just so that we're being honest about how we reflect on death.